Impact. Again, impact's kind of, there's legacy thought in impacts of kind of what success looks like by producing a piece of content. And that kind of legacy thought is popularity, like how many people have I reached? There's nothing wrong with that. That's kind of a good measure of what impact you've had. If you reach a lot of people, it's clearly a successful piece of content, or you've got loads of money, one or the other. So do we measure in terms of reach? This piece of content, we know, had fantastic reach, reached 5.5 million total views. That's kind of similar to a TV audience in many ways. But is that the best way to measure the success of it? Or should we be thinking about relevance? So reaching more of the right audience. So people saying, this really resonated with me, I learned something from this, or you could learn something from this should resonate with you. What do we think about engagement? So is it the number of likes, comments, and shares that we're getting on any individual piece of content? What we do know is that 21% of all articles shared by millennials come from BuzzFeed. So we're doing something right for that audience at least. Or does it change something in the world? Like, does it have an impact on what people are doing in their lives? This is the Clean Eating Challenge. We do this annually, generally beginning of the year when people are feeling all virtuous and healthy. And we suggest what people should eat to make themselves feel even more virtuous and healthy during the month of January. And it's a daily thing, and people can kind of go away and do this stuff, or not, as the case may be, but we know that people do this stuff. And the reason that we know that people do this stuff is because they don't just consume the food content, they consume the food. And when they've consumed the food, they take a picture of the food and they send it back to us. So we've got this kind of virtuous cycle of us producing something, people seeing it, going and making it, taking a picture of it and sending it back to us. So we can track very, very easily how many people are actually engaging with this content in a much more meaningful way than just looking at a piece of video. Or should we track impact on whether it's got really mass appeal? So is it spreading internationally? Is it crossing borders? This story was a lady kind of posted on Facebook that her child had arranged a birthday party and no one showed up. Really sad. But then the town kind of activated themselves and loads of people turned up to this kid's birthday party and they had an absolute whale of a time. So happy story from something which was initially very sad. We saw this trending in, it was the UK initially actually, although it's an American story. And when we saw that, we then translated it into different languages, and we saw that the traction was equally good in different languages, so we translated it into another language and another language. And that just helped the content spread even further, so multiple stories about the same story helps us kind of have even more impact. Or does it work across multiple platforms? And again, I've spoken about this a bit, but this kind of subject of anxiety. We produce a piece of written content, we see that it's trending, we see that it's delivered lots and lots and lots of views, so 10 million-ish views on that. Why don't we reproduce that in a different format? So we produce a piece of video content about kind of things you understand if you have anxiety. That gets 10 million views, so why don't we produce an animation for Instagram? And that gets more views. So we're kind of delivering the same message in a different format across multiple different platforms to make sure that we get incremental reach of that message to get as many people as possible engaged.